topic is elaborate in itself. So we are going to move on to internal benchmarking as one of the methods of benchmarking earlier itemized. So when we're talking about internal benchmarking, well, what do we really mean? So internal benchmarking, like the name suggests, it simply means we are looking inward. We are internalizing our own matter or matters. Basically, when we are having internal benchmarking, we are not looking at outside. We are looking at, for example, best of our best. Maybe we are a conglomerate. We are looking at aspects of our market niche and company that is doing well. And let's say as a singular organization, we are looking at a department within us that is very strong and what other departments can learn from the department. So now that particular department that is doing well is now our internal benchmarking partner. It's our target that we are using as yardstick for others to improve themselves upon. So internal benchmarking uses a benchmark inside the organization itself. Other parts of the same organization are compared with the benchmark or benchmark partner or target or yardstick. Please don't forget, because they can be used in our examination interchangeably so that we will not be confused. So when we internalize, one of the way we can easily do it, we can have a league table. We can be wondering, especially for some of us or many of us that are soccer lovers or generally sport, any kind of sport, who hear leagues and things like that. So, but the league we are talking about now is not sportish. Is the economic league that we are talking about now. So we can break ourselves down into smaller units, having a table or a graph or a chart, which we call league now. That is, we are setting ourselves against one another, the performer and those that need to improve themselves upon. It's just like in some established countries, their education, like in the US, they have Ivy League schools. So they are the best of the best that everybody that value education would want to be. So they call them Ivy League school. So likewise also we can have our own organization league, and we can name it our own so and so ABC league and things like that, XYZ league, in which we use our internal department that are performing to as yardstick to improve upon others that are not quite doing well, so that they can be improved upon, and we can do it in such a way that is everybody is happy. If you continue to do well, you are going to have maybe a reward quarterly, monthly, annually, and the like, just to encourage everybody and to make everybody better. So we can do something like that. So each division will be measured, and the standard, the yardstick, like what we call it KPI, key performance indicator, in which we are using to know which which department rather is doing well and which one is not doing well, will be known to everybody in the league, so that everybody can play by the rule. Then we move on to competitive benchmarking or competitors benchmarking. So this is externally focused. So now the competitive benchmarking, it uses a successful competitor. We are looking externally now to the best in our market, to the best in our niche, to the best in what we do or what we produce. So competitive benchmarking avails us the benefit of matching ourselves against our competitor. And when we are talking about competitor now, it should be the best in our industry. So it uses like the product, though depending on the area of our performance we want to identify, that we've identified that we want to improve upon. Let's say product. So it uses the product of our competitor and try to diagnose it, analyze it, separate it, interpret it, and if possible, adopt it. So what are the contents that they have? We may need to do forensic here if possible, depending on the industry we are. What are the content that make their product unique and make their customer to love their product? And what are the gaps between their home product and our product, and how can we bridge the gap? So we can use them to identify and to improve upon our product. Though it comes with its challenges, and one of the challenges is which competitor will want to release valuable information or want to partner another competitor because they want to improve on themselves, and knowing that when they improve on themselves, they may most likely will be strong competitor against the initial performer, and if care is not taken, they may leave them behind. So it's difficult to have benchmark information when we are talking about competitive benchmarking. So this is one of the problems that competitive benchmarking will bring, and we must be ready to overcome it. There are so many ways to overcome and to gather information actually, and one of it is like doing mystery shopping. We can engage independent mystery shoppers, or even there are some organizations that specialize in that, so that our competitor will not see us come to their shop or to their office and directly, of course they are going to decline. Okay, so it must be done in a coded form. So to benchmark effectively using competitive benchmarking, it is necessary to obtain meaningful information and reliable information, and if care is not taken, they are not going to give us reliable information unless they do not know who we are when they are releasing the information. So many times when we do something like this, we must do it in disguise and the like a customer and the like. Another problems or challenges that we can encounter using competitive benchmarking is the cost may be high. Don't forget that the competitor will not want to partner with us in the first place unless they do not know our intention. Two, we may need to deploy and employ the service of professional mystery shoppers, independent organization from ourselves. Then it leads us to another challenge. The cost of implementing competitive benchmarking may be high, if not very high. Of course, it is not prohibitive, but it may be expensive. But why not if the benefits? Of course, if the benefit we outweigh the costs, nothing said that we should not implement or embark on competitive benchmarking. Another challenge that competitive benchmarking may come with is that of even our employees may misinterpret it. It's possible for our managers to think that we want to benchmark so that they can see the non-performance and gaps in their deliveries and that their jobs are at risk. So we need to carry them along and explain to them that the reason or the purpose and intention of carrying out competitive benchmarking is simply to improve on our products, have more sales and more profitability, not to lay off and the like. So another challenge basically is the challenge of human resources perception to the outcome of competitive benchmarking. Another challenge that competitive benchmarking can come with is it can lead to serious litigation if not done properly. It can lead to litigation from our competitor if they are aware and they can prove it against us. So when embark on competitive benchmarking, is better done coded, is better done with all due care and diligence professionally. And this now leads us to the difference between competitive benchmarking and competitor analysis. When it goes wrong, it will fall to the side of analysis, competitors analysis. So basically, competitors analysis is not the same as competitive benchmarking. Don't forget that when I started, I let us know that competitive benchmarking aim at improving at ourselves, at our business, and making things better. What we are not doing well. Basically, that is benchmarking. But when goes to we want to now compete, beat other businesses down and the like, it will go to the side of competitor analysis, and we must be careful. We must be careful not to be caught analyzing unnecessarily other people's product and the like in order to bring their product down or something along that line. So basically, that is the difference between competitive benchmarking and competitor analysis. Of course, there is hardly any way we are going to benchmark our competitor that we are not going to analyze differences. Well, I think the bottom line is the intention, just like the difference between fraud and error. Error is not intentional, fraud is intentional, but basically the same thing could have been carried out. But if intention can be proven against the person that action it, then it becomes fraud. But if we see that the intention is genuine or it's just erroneous, well, it's error, it's a mistake. So likewise, the case of competitive benchmarking and competitor analysis. So we move on to another in the series of benchmarking, which is process benchmarking. Don't forget that I said we can call it detailed benchmarking too. This is simply because when we are dealing with process, we must go into the root of the matter between our benchmark, that is our targets, our benchmark partner, and ourselves. So we must go into the nitty-gritty of our business processes and break it into smaller units of what we must do before we have these products and examine it against our benchmark partner. So process benchmarking is the most common method of benchmarking. It involves a comparison of the performance of the entity and one particular activity or process with the performance of another entity in a different industry, and it could be the same industry, but they are competitor or organization we wish and love that we perform like or even be better off. as the case may be. We take their processes, how do they go about doing their things from the start to finish, and compare it to our own, depending on our own outcome. That is, outcome envisaged from the beginning of the process. This will determine our own selection process of who our process benchmark partner is going to be. So the purpose of process benchmarking is to use the benchmarking approach to analyze our business operations. For the success and greater success of process benchmarking, you can have a partner that's ready to release their process information, which we can easily observe how they do their things and the like. It's going to make the process benchmarking outcome really reliable and more informative and detailed. Don't forget that it's called detailed benchmarking too. So we will be able to copy the benchmark organization business processes, and we can easily adopt it so that we can have similar results like them too. Let us examine customer benchmarking now. Customer benchmarking, and when we are talking about customer benchmarking, a whole lot of attention must be paid. Don't forget, usually they say customer is king, and really my own personal definition of who a customer is or who a business is, I will usually say, which I believe is universal too. Anybody that has another person that is satisfied and could reward with a consideration already has a business. So without customer, there is no business. So customer benchmarking, we must pay attention to it. Basically, it focuses on identifying what our customer actually wants from us as against what we currently are providing. What customer expects and what we are delivering, basically. That is customer benchmarking. So it's a form of feedback from customer which we must deliberately try as much as possible and make a conscious effort to get from the customer, so that we can use it to improve our product and service delivery to them. So the gap identified now between customers' expectation and our reality can now be bridged, and that is the essence of customer benchmarking, and is quite important that every organization should have customer benchmarking. Then we go to strategic benchmarking. And when we are talking about strategic benchmarking, like I said when we started, we are looking at, it's more like we are looking back, or we are asking ourselves futuristic question also as to why are we here? What is the purpose of our existence? Are we fulfilling the purpose of our existence? So it's a benchmark at the governance level of an organization, because it's the governance and that deals with why, what is the purpose of our existence, like the objective of the organization, the strategic objective. It asks the question about our strategic objective and are we achieving it or not. So strategic benchmarking involves a comparison of strategies of different companies. So we examine ourselves, our strategy, and don't forget, when I'm teaching strategy, I used to let us know that at the heart of strategy is how to win the warfare of the marketplace in our business, the industrial rivalry and the like. That is strategy. Strategy is not about what to produce internally. Strategy is usually externally focused, competitors focused. So when we're talking about strategic benchmarking now, we are talking about what are we doing, what have we implemented, and how far has it carried us, has it helped us achieve our strategic objective. If strategic objective is not being fulfilled, the purpose and the existence of the organization is defeated. It doesn't really matter. The organization can be making profit. If the strategic objective is not about profit making, then the organization, there's a question on the strategic objective, and it's good that strategic benchmarking be carried out without hesitation. So strategic benchmarking usually will involve comparison of the most successful competitor or industrial leader. And now we must be very careful too, because if the industrial leader or competitor, best competitor in the industry's objective is different from ours, then we must be careful who we partner with, that is, who our benchmark partner is. So identification and selection, like the first process is still key here now. Selection of the right strategic benchmarking partner is important to achieving our strategic benchmark objective. So what are aspects of strategic benchmarking that we can look into? Like I mentioned, the strategic objective is key to strategic benchmarking. Then what of our core competence? What of our core competence? And when we are talking about our core competence, we are talking about what we can leverage on for our competitive advantage. Our process capability, we need to strategically benchmark it too. The product too, strategic alliance or alliances is important. So when we look at the life of the industrial leaders, that is in our industry, we could see that those organizations or their directors have influence with some other, maybe known or unknown, but notable and powerful names in the industry, both corporate and individuals. But these give them a leverage over us. So we may need to know them, we may need to move with them, we may need to relate with them too, so that we can enjoy the same benefits and improve upon ourselves as it comes to our strategy. The use of technology, we must strategically benchmark the use of technology too. This is a critical aspect of organization's life that we must benchmark now, so that we will not be using outdated and archaic method of business operations while the world has moved on. So technology wise, we must benchmark so that we can put ourselves in position for the future and to be relevant, and even to make good products and better services. Customer satisfaction continue to increase, then we know that we can have retention and profitability, if that's our strategic objective anyway, in the nearest future for our organization's sustainability. Functional benchmarking is another benchmarking that we are looking at, and when we are talking about functional benchmarking, we are talking about looking inward. We are talking about looking inward to ourselves, into departments, that is business functions that we have in and within our organization. And in every organization we have a lot of functions: sales, marketing, research, and these are critical functional area of our organization that we must not overlook when we are carrying out functional benchmarking. So we can look within and examine ourselves against the best practice in our industry, look at ourselves and make a comparison with the best and the industrial leader and how their business function actually are being laid out, carried out, interrelate. And this can help us improve upon our area of functionality, which eventually will lead us to greater benefits as an organization. So functional benchmarking looks into different functions in our organization, while process or detailed benchmarking look into how we carry out our business processes. We are now going to look at product benchmarking, then we'll discuss the requirement for successful implementation of this benchmarking and how to resolve problems we may likely encounter when we are implementing benchmarking. Product benchmarking. Now, our products or our services could be compared in relation to the best product, the best notable service within our industry, even outside our industry, depending on the objective of our benchmarking. But now we are specific. We are talking about reverse engineering, that is product benchmarking. So when we are talking about product benchmarking, we may need to look at the best competitor. Is there anything like best competitor? Yes, we are talking about the industrial leader. So we need to get their products, compare our products, like the useful life of our products, the quality of our services, the inputs into our products, the people involved in our services. That's if it's service oriented. Now I'm just trying to use one stone to kill two birds to ensure that we achieve and improve upon our product and services. Don't forget that when we are talking about service industry now, we'll be talking about service benchmarking, just like we are talking about product benchmarking for product, because basically what we sell could either be products, and if it's not service, if it's not product, it's going to be service. So the comparison will usually look like at the competitor's cost of producing it, and when we are talking about the costs, we are going to be talking about, if possible, if we can have the information, if the benchmark partner can avail us the full cost. Now we are talking about the product life costing. If possible, it is going to help us a great deal. But if not, as much as possible, what are the cost elements that go into the production of that particular product or rendering that service? What are the concepts about it or around it? Concept is different from the cost. Now when we're talking about concepts, we're talking about something that is unique, how unique that product is to our own. That is concepts. So what do they have in mind? Like, let me give us an example of a concept. We can be in the same industry, but we have different concepts, and our concepts will eventually segment our industry for us. That is, who do we really want to be our customer? Our product concept can automatically segment who will be our customer. So that is what we are talking about when we are talking about product concept. So we must be careful too when we are doing product benchmarking to compare product concepts that relate with our own concept. It may be in the same industry. The cost comparison may be fair, but it may be unfair when we are benchmarking against different products as per its concept. That is, concept simply mean ideology around that unique product. What makes it unique? Also, we must consider the strengths and weaknesses in the products, in its design, in its quality. Are we better off with our products, or there are areas in which we should improve and learn from this unique industry leader and benchmark against their successes? We want to look at requirement for successful benchmarking, and this is key. We need to know the requirements when we are benchmarking, because if we don't know the requirements that we need at the end of the day to benchmark, the real benefits of benchmarking